and I looked over to where he was, and he was right by my husband, Kevin. I don't know if he's told the story, but, he in his Irish way said, he was going to, anyway, he was using the little boys' room out there, and my daughter had said, don't go up in that area because there's Bigfoot. And we're like, yeah, whatever, not really thinking. Well, when he had to go, he said, well, this will keep him away. And, and then I heard in my mind in a deep voice, guttural. And, he said, I could just kill you. His answer to, Kevin's, peeing to mark the territory to keep him away. But I also at the same time could feel his emotions, and I knew his intentions. It was like a whole download of his being, his personality, his essence. So I knew somehow he wasn't going to hurt us. And it all seemed so natural too, which is a strange thing. But, and then so my response to that was, oh no, why? What did we do? And he said, he seemed startled that I heard him. I guess that's not normal for most people to be able to pick that up. And then he's like, oh, I didn't want a big mess like down below. And then that's when Kevin said out loud, I guess we got to clean up our shelves like we always do. So it's like, oh, he's hearing this too. Because otherwise I would have dismissed it, just as my imagination or something. Now, he didn't hear the voice, but he knew intuitively or got the impression or something that they didn't want that there. So
interesting.
And that, I think that was one thing too, Ron, I wanted to say is, do you think that, because I know other people after being exposed to them or, they develop more intuitive senses. I believe we have all of those. And, we all have those things. Ron talks about that in his book. It's a fabulous book, and I recommend it. But, I think that maybe just believing or knowing that you can do it, then you start using that more or trying to develop it.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Once that's unlocked, I think so.
See, according to physics, we're all one energy. We're not separate beings like we think we are. In a very unique way, we are all tied together through energy, and that's the way animals are now. And you see that, like birds, when they flock together, you see them moving up in the sky. They're all connected. Mm-hmm. They're all moving the same way, and it's really amazing to watch some of that stuff. I'm a scuba diver too, and I see these fish in spools going all in the same way. They're not talking to each other. How are they doing that? They're doing that through entanglement. Yeah. And we have all that ability because we are actually all one energy. And if we could just learn how to tap into it, we would all be better off because I don't know if we would or not, we could read each other's mind then. That may not be a good idea.
Well, you know what? Too, maybe if you give off good vibes and you run into a Bigfoot or in the area and you're not like a bad type of person with bad thoughts, maybe it can read your thoughts and then they don't feel you're a threat.
Yeah, they may be able to see our auras or something, but they do seem to know, if you're a threat or not. And I think also it mirrors back the fear. And I know you said that your experience was very scary to you. And from, questioning hundreds of people about their experiences after I had mine, it seems like a lot of law enforcement or ex-military have a stronger response. And males, too. You'd think women would be more, but it seems like a lot of times men, get PTSD from it. And I think, this is my theory, is that, women are used to not being, used to being vulnerable, have people walk you to their car, stuff like that, where men, especially when they've got guns and they're out in the woods or they've been trained, in the military or law enforcement, that they're not used to coming up to something that they can't defend against. It is, you do have to, like Ron said, come to a point where you can overcome that fear. And I had that moment with one where, just stomped up to the tent, and I thought, really quickly through my head, should I reach for my firearm? But he could get right through the tent and get me, and do I want to shoot? What if he's the last male? Whatever, all this went through my head, and I came to the conclusion that, well, if he wanted to kill me, that'd be his karma, and what a way to go.
Well, hey, I was going to ask you, what type of firearm do you have? Samantha, what type of firearm did you have?
Let's see, at that time I had a 45, so, and again, like Ron said, I don't really think that even if I emptied the whole clip in there, that I still, I agree with him. If they wanted to get you, they could. And bluff charging too. A lot of people report that, where they run at people and then they, just scare them away, but they don't actually attack.
That's what I think happened to you,
sounds like,
Gary.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I was saying, if it wanted to kill me and my friend at the time, it could have done it that 2 miles we were running back. I mean, like I said, it was there in the bushes, like 25, 30 feet away from the car. If it was there by the time we were huffing and puffing and getting to the car, we couldn't even defend it ourselves anyway, because we were probably exhausted the first quarter mile running. I mean, it just didn't want us to come back. And it gave us, no, I wouldn't go back. Why would I?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, I honestly,
but again, for some reason, I just knew they wouldn't hurt me, and they had plenty of opportunities. That my second one, the one came up to the tent. I was by myself. Well, I had the dog, but he was running. He was no help. He acted like he had never acted before and ran off. He was like, "You're on your own." But it's just, you do have to just kind of say, come to that point where something happens. I scuba dive also, and I ride a Harley and shoot guns and stuff. So maybe there's that adrenaline thing or something. Maybe I'm an adrenaline junkie. But I was so curious, like that to me, was more like, I don't know if a spaceship came and said get on board, if I would go, because the curiosity, when are you going to have an opportunity like that? So I think with the Sasquatch,
Samantha,
it was just so amazing.
Samantha, you wouldn't get me on a spaceship, because one of the guests I have on now, it's going to be on every month. It's Nancy. She runs the UFO Reporting Center out of Casimir's, North Carolina.
Oh.
And she also, besides tracking all the UFOs and Bigfoot, she does that too on her website. She, went into, when she was on my show, talking about, the agreement that was made with Eisenhower, with supposedly some aliens raised.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and those aliens, basically, were allowed to abduct a certain amount of people for experimenting, but also it went on. It also went as far as they kind of liked eating humans also. So, I mean, there could be different species of it. Naturally, there's going to be, like I told somebody the other night, you have to look at this, right? We eat deer, we eat bear, we eat pigs, we eat everything that's beneath us, right? Yeah. Because we feel we're superior on this planet. Now, you go into another alien race that's maybe way advanced from us, right? They could be looking at us no more than we look at chickens, at the grocery store for dinner.
Yeah. But the same way, too, we have dogs and horses as pets, and they could kill us, Oh, yeah. So I think you kind of have to go with your instincts. That's one thing I've learned, is to trust that. And, if things feel bad, I think you should listen to that. So,
I agree with you.
In my humble
totally.
opinion,
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the inner self that you're listening to. That's probably why you're so intuitive.
Yeah, you kind of know what's...
Well,
yeah, I've learned to listen to that, because whenever something in the past, has happened that you would label as a negative thing, always had a warning. You kind of get that reaction, and it's just kind of like when the hair stands, like you're being watched, things like that. You got to listen to those things. And also our brain filters out a lot of what it perceives as information we don't need or hallucinations. So
it also
over a
fills in
10-second
things.
period of time.
It'll also fill in things.
True.
It's called confabulation.
Mm-hmm.
Fills in the holes.
Exactly. Yeah, because after Kevin had his eye surgery, he couldn't see right in the middle, so his brain was readjusting to a sight and filling it in. Where I don't know what you call it, third eye or whatever, I could see where Sasquatch were and where they were moving, and I pointed and I said, "There's two there," but he could see them with his eyes, his actual eyes, and it kind of, his body responded to that because he said that, why are they doing a pincer movement? He he was looking at it differently than me, where I was like, oh wow, look, there they go. But that's good to have that confirmation too, as I was learning to develop and trust those skills. And also with the fish moving in Mexico, I swam through, it seemed like thousands of fish, and they just parted as I swam through, and it was amazing to see how they could all move like a curtain all together. And I think that what you said, Ron, that goes along with we have other senses we don't use, and we are entangled a lot more. Just like women, when they live together, their cycles link up. Mm-hmm. You could say it's magic or, crazy. Doesn't exist, but it's from the olfactory. We aren't consciously noticing that, but,
No, I sure did with my wife and my two daughters.
Bodies respond.
Yeah, I noticed that with my wife and two daughters.
It's a proven fact. It is. Yeah, it is a proven fact, and scientists know why. But it's definitely entanglement. And I like Ron. In the Bigfoot world, people are either, a lot of times it's flesh and blood or, crazy woo. Telepathy thing, but there are a lot of there's a lot of physiology behind it, quantum physics. There's a lot of explanations for why and how we can do
absolutely.
incredible
I agree
things.
with you. That's the whole purpose of my book, is bringing science and spirituality together and how it couples maybe with Bigfoot. Because I think quantum physics and spirituality are on the same plane. Some people will call those dimensions heaven, and yet quantum physics calls it dimensions. And all the miracles that even Christ did and that you hear about, I think he used those laws that God's put in place, which is quantum physics. They're the laws of the universe. And unfortunately, we've been trained to believe that Newtonian physics is all there is, and that's not all there is. That was in 1687, I think, and you got to get into the Einstein and the Planck and the Bohr and Tesla. Those people finally figured out there's an answer to the problems in the universe, or not the issues in the universe, I should say. But I asked a group of scientists the other day, somebody please tell me how long and how far, how many light years is it to the end of the universe? Because somebody said, well, everything has to be measured. And I said, no, everything's not measurable. And it's just not. And that's physics. And if you can explain to me the end of the universe, then you'll have me. But nobody can do that. Because how do you explain something with no end?
You can't.
Yeah.
Or you can't. You can't even comprehend it.
And the Newtonian law is just, Newtonian, like time is just so that we would have a time to, meet up for lunch or have coffee. My experience of time would be different than someone else's. Again, with the quantum, how you observe it.
Well, I just posted an article on Facebook about from my chapter 13 out of my book about quantum time. How if you spend 1 year in space traveling at 99.99% of light speed, when you come back to Earth after a year, would be 227 years on Earth time.